Hello everyone and welcome back to our project where we build CRM system from scratch. Okay, so let's start our server, the bond server, and Tailwind and CRM bundle. Okay, so we have our CRM and we can change the stages, and what I really don't like, we don't have yet, we don't change the stage where, oh my god, what happened? Why I cannot click? Okay, something happens here. Something wrong is happening here. So whenever I save, this top container becomes smaller. Let's fix it. It becomes smaller and I cannot click anymore because our pop hour is over the check marks. That's no good. When I change the stage, our top div becomes smaller and prevents me from clicking on the stage, on the horizontal pipeline. So that's no good. So we need to find somewhere here I can save, right? Whenever we save this stuff, let's maybe just observe what is going on with this container. So now its height is 79 pixels. And let's see what is going on. Okay, so now its height is also 79, but something has changed here. Okay, it also depends on the, I guess, oh yeah, so it also depends on my developer tools, if they are open or not. So it happens not only when I just change stuff, it also happens, oh, when I change stuff, this div becomes higher, basically, and that's what is going on. So maybe we want to prevent that by, first of all, maybe let's move this guy to the right so it doesn't interfere with our, how do we move it? Okay, this is probably the right way. Yeah. So we probably want to have like a right now the height is 36. if I say to this guy that if I say like height, right now it's 113 pixels. So if let's say 113 pixels and min height 113 pixels, right? And see if it changes now. No, it's not changing now. That's what we want. Min height, right? Min height, that's what we need. That's what we need. So basically we want to say that min height should be the same. No, it's not helping. It's not working. Which element is dropping its height? Is it this guy? I don't quite understand. So the computed value here is not changing. You see, the min height in pixels works, but in this RAM it's not working. that are based on the document's font size. It's not only on the document font size, it's also on the window size, from what I see. Right? It's like window becoming smaller, and this guy is losing his height. Pixel is not responsive. I don't want responsiveness here, to be honest. I can have responsiveness in terms of, for example, this margin at the bottom. It could have responsiveness. But I'm not sure I wanna. I'm not sure I want to do it. Let's migrate anyway. Let's migrate to pixels. So we basically want to migrate in places which we don't want to make responsive, right? So this guy is gonna be height, let's say 115 pixels, and mean height will be also 115 pixels. So that way it's never changing. Maybe even we don't need the mean height. Or do we? Yeah, we do need mean height. Okay. So let's maybe document this guy, because it is important. Let's say prefer RAM because it's responsive relative to the document dimensions and font size, but not always, but use pixels when you don't wanna resize the block, right? And this is important. This is important. And let's do the same with this guy. It has height in RAM 4.5, which is right now equal to 63 pixels. Let's do 65. Yeah, these guys should have the same height, basically. Oh, I broke something. Oh. So this is in timeline function, and this is outside timeline function. Okay. That happens. So let's call it maybe more precisely. Let's call it class height class timeline event height, like that, and keep it as a global constant, not global, but on the top level in the function. Okay, and now it's not losing its height, which is really cool. We don't need this guy anymore. Yeah, done. Okay. Cool. Let's go on and see what we were gonna do next. So now click is broken. Oh, must remove the card. Something is going on here. Okay, so I see some bugs here. First of all, when we change the stage on the top, it's not adding any history events. So that's one thing. So basically the logic should be the same, right? Right now it's not, and we are not reusing it actually. So it's in the top, somewhere here, I guess. So this is the logic, and another logic we have in the bottom over here. In the left we have this function where we actually save stuff, right? And what do we do here? So on the left we have correct logic, and on the right it's missing a piece. So on the left we do we update the card field, we create event and we insert it, and then we render stuff. On the right we So on the left, we don't actually even remove from the old stage. And that's probably why I have another bug, which is if I change here the value, oh, it's actually working. It's actually working fine. Okay. So first of all, so add event to the history, right? So that's a missing piece. But we do have card timeline splice. Oh. So even though we do have it, yeah, on the right, yeah, we are not adding it anywhere. So we kind of wanna do it, right? We kind of wanna do it. Create new timeline, new CRM timeline event. Field label. Create CRM timeline event. Field change. Maybe it's gonna be insert timeline, CRM timeline event field change into timeline. Value old, value new, and card timeline. Yeah. Right. And we just call it here, and we call it label, value old, value new. And that's it. And it should return event. We get this event, and we go and render it in the timeline. Let's call it timeline event. Okay. And on the right, we want to do the same stuff. We want to do like first of all, let's order in the right order. So basically, we take this guy. Let me see what we're doing here. So we find we remove the card from the old stage, right? So let's maybe do that. We take the card from the state by the stage old, and we find it in the state, and that's it. Remove it and then insert into new stage, right? And then update the card. And here we actually are not even removing it, so we will need to do that. And then we're gonna insert card into stage, update the card, right? And here we'll just update the card, insert into timeline. Okay, so this is totally messed up, right? Totally messed up. So we wanna do the same stuff here. Basically take this event and insert it over here and say that the field label will be this label, the value old will be stage old, and value new will be stage. We create event, then we just save it, and we will render it as well. Okay, so piece by piece we will make them similar. Okay, so we are now creating events and rendering them, which is nice. And then I see other differences, but I'm trying not to fix them too soon before I can actually test and reproduce the problems myself. So right now we are not, when we edit on the left with the icon save, we are not actually removing it from the stage, from the old stage, and putting into the new stage. We are just changing the stage in the card itself. And yeah, so we are doing this for all fields, but for the stage field it's gonna be slightly unique, right? For the stage field. So if I say test task, and yeah, this is the bug, right? It must remove the card, but it's not finding it. That's the problem. When I change the stage on the left, move the card to a different stage, not just change the field. So here we want to say basically this code, right? So we want to make it a function, remove, maybe like move card to new stage, right? And it will have actually both. Let's do the following. Function move card to new stage. It will be like that. Stage old, stage new, and card. And that's how you do object-oriented programming. Like you're not actually orienting towards objects, but you are like these functions, they arise themselves like when you need them. You see like this is how you design the functions for these objects. You see what is needed and you compress it over time into these functions. So this is gonna be stage new. Okay, so we have everything we need. We can just call it here and say card, and then stage old and stage. Right, so we move the card, we update the fields, we create a new event, and we actually can even save the reference immediately here. So basically three steps. And here we should do the same. We should not the same, sorry. We should do this first step if it's stage. If the field label equals field label, how do we call it? Label field stage, move card to new stage, card value old, value new. Like that. So now if I change this guy to waiting for to test task, for example, and I click here, it still works the same, right? Okay. How do I need this stage old? Okay, let's finalize here. So we've done this. How do I need this stage old in rendering? But I do not need it in here. This is also bad, right? So I should, if I change this, we should re-render the top. When I change the stage on the left, re-render the stage on the top. So render new current stage and render old current stage. We wanna do these two blocks. Can we just move them up? Like here, for example. Yeah, I guess we can. And we can even make them regular functions like this. Is it still working? Yep. Okay. Okay, so here we are missing some pieces. Right, we were missing the references. So we wanna have them as well. Okay, so this is all good, and now we just reuse them. We just reuse them. So we just call them, give them stage card, and what is that? Some elements of this stage. Yeah, and basically get the div back and do some replacements. So maybe we wanna extract this as a extra kind of function, right? Because that's what it actually is. Re-render stage regular. We have render stage regular, which just returns our div, and the re-render will return the div and assert some precondition and replace div with the new div. Right. So we can just call this function instead and pass it the values. render stage current, it will be very similar. Oops, sorry. So stage current accepts stage, and what it does here, it returns this stage. But for us, we actually wanna do this guy. So we render, we take div stage, which is actually, we should have like a reference to it somewhere, I guess. We should have a reference to it. Well, in this case, we need some kind of reference. Div stage, div stage by stage, I guess, and it will be like stage string and HTML element. So we have a reference to the current stage, and we also have reference to every stage. Right. We save this reference here, and we also want to save like div stage by stage, and say stage equals div stage. Maybe we want to get rid of this guy, right? We will see. So whenever we call render stage current, we wanna actually update div stage new. We call the render stage current, we get div stage new current local, and we replace it, and we replace the reference to it. And we also want to replace div stage by stage, which is gonna be stage. Right. And we also want to say that this render, he should return this stage. Right. Well, maybe this render should also just go ahead and update div stage by stage and say that it's gonna be stage well, why is it old? Stage old. I don't quite get it. It should be just stage, right? And equals like that. And here it's gonna be as well. It's a little bit confusing here. Let's be honest. So here we want to say div stage by stage. And like that. Right, and then when we click on stage at the top, we go ahead and update our state. Then we go ahead and say that we want to render stage current, which is gonna be like rendering the div, replacing our current div with a new div, which we actually do. We'll do here on this line, and then we save the reference just to be able to update these guys. But so we no longer need this because we are already doing it here. So we can just remove this and say re-render stage current, right? And it will be stage. Like that. Right. So let's see if I fucked up or not. Yep, I did. I did fuck up. So let's see what is wrong. So we are not re-rendering the current stuff. Current is stage old, and we should re-render it. Div stage current. Oh, and because div stage current we update the reference, right? We update the reference in this function. In this function we render the stage current and we take we basically take div stage current. Well, yeah, it's like I got confused here, to be honest. So basically we are taking first of all we take the new stage and we pass it to render stage current, which takes the new stage, renders it as a current stage. This is the div, and it takes for this new stage and replace a div for this stage and replaces it with new stage, with new div, and saves the reference to this new div here. So it's kind of correct, but it's not from what I see, right? And regular. So let's formulate the problem. So this is done, I guess. If we change this, well, it's not done because I broke it, but let's first of all, when I click on stage on the top, render the current, the clicked stage as a new current stage. So this is the first thing that we want to do. I click on the stage and I take this new stage and render it as a current. So that works. And then that works. And then I wanna, when I click on stage on the top, re-render the old current stage as a regular stage. That's what we want to do, right? We take the old stage and we pass it to this function, re-render stage regular. It takes this stage, renders it as a regular, and then it takes the current well, that's the problem, right? We wanna use this guy instead. Like this. So we want to get rid of div stage current because it's confusing. Okay, now it works. Now if I change, it's not working. That's okay, we can fix that. That's easy. So do the same logic on the left. So whenever we change on the left, we basically do the same stuff, right? So right now the state is fine, only rendering is wrong. So if we say like if if it's a label of stage, if the field is stage, then we wanna call these two functions as well. And we actually need these guys at the top. Value new, value old. And we need a reference to element stage. Where do we get this reference from? We have them here. Okay, so we need a reference to popover. Well, so we can do the same stuff. We can say we need a reference to popover of this stage, right? Move this reference to where all the stage divs are already, right? We already have a reference to here, right? So we can say div popover by stage. Right. Yeah, and then elements horizontal pipeline, div popover by stage, then we render the stage equals div popover like that. So we can get rid of this. Okay. right? Okay, so now it works and it's all good. It's all good. Let's double check. So we can just easily call these functions and they do not need to pass any references to the underneath function, because we use the references to that are available to us here, and this is all good. All good. Okay, let's review, because it was a little bit confusing, but that's fine. So we have our references here, and now we have, let's maybe go here. So we moved this function render stage current, we moved it, and render stage regular. We moved these two functions to the top, which is over here, right? Then we also removed we moved this reference and this into to the top somewhere, where we save these references and they are available. Then we get rid of div stage current and we just have one structure, one object that has a mapping from stage to the div stage, and that's all good. And then we extracted function for inserting into the timeline so we can reuse it, and we reuse it over here. And we also have a function to move card to a new stage, right? And then we added this removal and moving to the new stage, and we re-render the stage. And we call these functions to render. Each of them just renders a div and replaces the previous div with a new div and saves this div as a new div for this stage. All the same, all good. And a bunch of styles. So we've done this, and maybe let's click around to see once again. So every time we change the stage, no matter at what place, we change it on the left side, and we change the history, add to the history new event, and that's what is supposed to be. Oh, we have a bug. If we just save, it's the same. Let's fix. If we just save the stage and it's the same, the current stage is rendered as regular. We want to skip that. So if we call so if value new equals value old, well, probably this is gonna be here, right? Let's think about it. Yeah, if it's the same, we just want to return. We don't want to change anything in state because it's the same. So, well, not completely. All right. We want to change to the view actually. So we do not change anything in here, and we do not change anything in here, but we actually want to change to the view. Like that. So we change to the view, and then if it's the same, we return. If it's not, we apply all the renderings and state changes. Right. So it's like a cancel. We just on click, we just change to the view, basically. Maybe in this case we want to keep the order of rendering, like we want to change to view at the very end, because just in case we decide to change some DOM here, which is possible, we want to apply classes after the fact in a case where the value is different. But when the value is the same, we just call this function again and return. So it's like cancel situation. Right. Okay, let's review. So we just add early return and we change to the view. Let's maybe put a comment in here more obvious. So change render card field, like that. Okay, so thank you guys for being with me today, and I will see you on the next video.